Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is your host Golden Buckets, and in this audio I will discuss a topic I find interesting as well as under discussed in the basketball community, which is who is a better basketball player between Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. These are obviously two very different basketball players. At their peak, they're both two of the five best small forwards of all time, along with LeBron, Bird, and Dr. J. And for some reason, these two players whose prime was roughly, and it still is, occurring in the same era, have never been compared and contrasted among each other as much as they should have been, in my opinion. Obviously, they played in the same era as two of the other greats, such as LeBron and Steph. Irrespective of who you like more, Kawhi and KD have been arguably, in order, the third and the fourth greatest player of the 2010s decade. Okay, no. So now let's start comparing them and let's determine who is better, okay? And I will come to my conclusion. First of all, they are two totally different players. They have been reared and developed in different systems, different franchises. Kevin Durant was a superstar from the get-go. I think as early as 2010, Kevin Durant was a bona fide superstar in this league. While Kawhi Leonard, unlike Kevin Durant, he was a late bloomer. That is, even though Kawhi could impact the game substantially, particularly on the defensive end early on, and being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate early on, Kawhi Leonard didn't become a superstar, in my opinion, until the 2017 season, which is the first year of the KD Warriors. And if you remember then, Kawhi Leonard in that playoffs was starting to be discussed in the same conversation, in the same sentence as LeBron and KD, which is something that never really happened beforehand, as the other two great small forwards had always had a substantial gap on Kawhi before then. So Kevin Durant, as I said before, was a superstar from the get-go, like many superstars in NBA history, such as LeBron, MJ, Anthony Davis even, who were superstars within the first 3 years, sometimes 4 years, sometimes 2 years, but they didn't really have to take a lot of time for them to become dead. Kawhi Leonard, like Steph Curry, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, like Nikola Jokic, they are in the short list of players who developed later, okay? But even though we're talking about who got into their prime earlier, that is quite irrelevant to the discussion on who is the better basketball player. So here I will try to set out the comparisons by category, okay? So in no particular order, let's begin with scoring. KD, as you all know, is a 4-time scoring champion. Kawhi never led the league in scoring. KD is a much better regular season scorer than Kawhi Leonard. It isn't even close. As in fact, Kawhi very rarely crossed the 27-point mark in the regular season. KD has done that multiple times with multiple franchises. Brooklyn, now Phoenix, Oklahoma, where he won 4 scoring titles. Okay, so, but in making these comparisons, I don't want to establish who is a better scorer in the regular season. My argument is who of the two is a better scorer when it matters the most, when it counts the most, which is the playoffs. And the way I see it, Kawhi has the edge in that department. KD doesn't really alter substantially as a scorer from the regular season to the playoffs, but what diminishes over time is his efficiency. Kevin Durant, who is mostly reliant on skill and finesse, he sees his production in terms of efficiency drop a little bit in the playoffs. Sometimes quite a lot, as it happened in the Boston series and in the Denver series or in the Memphis Grizzlies series when he was in OKC. But most of the time, it drops just a little bit. Kawhi Leonard, on the other hand, is one of the greatest playoff risers in NBA history, particularly as a scorer. Kawhi, in a playoff series, can go toe-to-toe with scorers who average way more points than him in the regular season. We saw it against Joel Embiid in 2019, against Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was the league MVP and averaged 28 in the regular season. We saw it against Steph Curry in the NBA Finals in 2019. We saw it against even Kevin Durant on different occasions, such as last year in 2023. In the first 2 games they played, Kawhi was a better scorer. So Kawhi Leonard, for as absurd of a scorer KD is, Kawhi Leonard edges him, in my opinion, when it comes to playoff time. So if I'm trying to build a championship team, if I'm a GM and I'm scouting these two players, to make the decision on who I am drafting between the two, to whom I am entrusting my franchise, and I had to rank them by category, and I began with scoring, I will give the edge to Kawhi. Because to me, championships are won particularly in the playoffs, as you all know, and the ability that Kawhi has to not only to maintain his efficiency, but to increase his volume and efficiency, and to withstand the physicality of the NBA playoffs, which is a totally different settings than the regular season, in my opinion, gives him the edge over KD in that category. So the category where KD is deemed as stronger, and arguably to many people is viewed as the best of all time in terms of scoring, partly due to his incredible blend between efficiency, being a 50-40-90 player, and versatility, his ability to score everywhere on the court and average 30 in his lip. Even in that category, which is KD's strongest card, I believe that Kawhi edges him. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that he completely obliterates him in that category, as KD is up there neck and neck really as a scorer, but KD is more susceptible to strong defenses, and his performance diminished a little bit under those settings compared to Kawhi. However, Kawhi gets this category. Now, let's go to rebounding. I will give the edge to Kawhi a little bit. So, they are very different players. Obviously, KD is a little bit longer. KD is 6'11 with a 7'6", 7'5 wingspan, while Kawhi is a 6'7. So, KD has the height advantage, but Kawhi Leonard's body, which is built like an undersized power forward really, while Kevin Durant is more like a shooting guard that is long, with the height of a big man, Kawhi Leonard has a very strong center of gravity. He's physically strong, and I will give him the rebounding edge by just a little. I think Kawhi has shown in multiple playoff settings, such as in the 2019 run, that he could grab 9 to 10 rebounds easily in a playoff series. Now, none of those two guys are as good as Larry Bird or LeBron James in the playoffs when it comes to rebounding ability, but in a do-or-die game, I trust more, Kawhi Leonard's ability to grab a couple of boards more than KD in a crucial game, due to his physicality and combination of size and strength. So this category, like scoring, is extremely close, but Kawhi gets this category. Now, let's get to playmaking. Here, I think KD has the edge, but I wouldn't say is by far. I would say the gap between KD and Kawhi as a playmaker is the gap between pretty much their ability to score efficiently in the playoffs. So there's a gap, but it's not a big gap. And none of the two is a superb playmaker like, LeBron, Jokic, or Luka. But this is almost a wash. KD gets the edge. Primarily, I think that playing in Golden State developed KD a lot as a playmaker. KD, when he was in OKC, was in a similar category as Kawhi when he was in the Spurs. He wasn't really good as a passer. But KD developed more in Golden State, but still I wouldn't call KD a great passer. I would say he's a tier below Giannis Antetokounmpo and players of that caliber. But Kawhi has gotten better at it, particularly ever since joining the Clippers. But none of those two players is very strong at that. But in a situation where you want a player to play make out of the post, you will want KD over Kawhi in that category. So these are the first three categories. Now let's get to defense, okay? Now, Kawhi has the edge on defense in this fourth category. Kawhi was the defensive player of the year, one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever. In my opinion, at his peak, the second or third perimeter defender ever, behind Scottie Pippen and Gary Payton in his prime. So, but we have to be honest about this, and Kawhi Leonard's ability and intensity in the defensive end has dropped a little bit over the years. So, even though Kawhi clearly beats KD in this category, where, by the way, KD wasn't a good defender in OKC, he became a great shot blocker when he was in Golden State, when he was behind Draymond Green, who was the primary rim protector. KD's length as a 7-footer with a 7'4" wingspan could help in altering shots in the paint. So KD was an underrated shot blocker, but when it comes to defensive impact, I will give the edge to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard wasn't a very good in terms of rim protector, but he was great at disrupting, offensive schemes by other teams and players. He was great also in deflection, steals, and he was bigger in terms of weight and strength and mass, and he was able to assist his team in defending the best players for multiple years when he did that to LeBron in the finals. So this category clearly goes to Kawhi Leonard. So now we go to the other two categories, clutchness. This is where I think Kawhi Leonard starts to distance himself even further than he did already compared to KD. So Kevin Durant, as you know, walking bucket. He can average 30 quite easily. However, Kevin Durant, for as skilled as he is, and he is the most skilled player between the two, in last minutes or few minutes of an NBA game, particularly in the playoffs, maybe due to his, let's say, strength limitation, he tends to perform worse than Kawhi in the last few minutes. It always seems that in the last last minutes of the game, Kawhi is always, unfazed by tiredness, fatigue, and pressure, unlike Kevin Durant. So if someone asks you, if I need to choose one of these two players to get me a bucket, who am I choosing? If we're talking about the second quarter or the first quarter, just one bucket, I will go with KD. But in the last 5, 2, 3, 1 minute or a few seconds of a game, it seems to me that Kawhi Leonard, over the years, has shown to be much more reliable, efficient, and clutch in the last few minutes. So clutchness, in my opinion, goes to Kawhi Leonard, okay? And also he has multiple clutch shots in his career, such as the shot, against the Sixers in 2019. But he has multiple instances of being clutch, even in the series against the Mavericks, as a Clipper, he was hitting extremely tough shots. So clutchness goes to Kawhi. And now we go to leadership. Leadership, none of these two players, unfortunately, and I'm saying this as a big fan of both of their games, is really a standout leader, in my opinion. And this is not an insult. Players like Magic, Larry, LeBron, they were great. They had the ability to galvanize the troops. Whether you didn't like how they behaved in certain instances, and LeBron had some situations where he wasn't able to keep the locker room free from drama. But however, none of these two players, Kawhi and KD, is known for their leadership skills. This doesn't mean necessarily they're horrible or they do not help in maintaining a good locker room, a good work environment for their teammates. But none of these two players, I would say that, in my opinion, if you ask me who are the best leaders in the game today, I would say Giannis, Jokic, top 2, and Steph number 3. The reason why I don't have Steph number 1 as a leader is because of situations like the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green situation. A very passive character such as Steph at times could get in the way, in teammates abusing of their influence, as Draymond has done over the years. And that's why I believe that Giannis and Jokic are the two best leaders in the game. But between the two, if I had to choose, I give the edge to Kawhi. Yes, Kawhi isn't vocal, but he, is much more drama-free than Kevin Durant. And, I don't have to go into detail about why and when, but, Kevin Durant, and this is not a shame on, to shame him, but he was never a good leader, whether in OKC, Russ was the leader, Golden State, Dre, and Steph were the leaders in Brooklyn. It was mostly Kyrie. And now in Phoenix, this is Devin Booker's team. So leadership, if I have to choose, I will give the slight edge to Kawhi Leonard. So to summarize everything we said until now, if I'm a GM and I had to draft one of these two players, and I'm going through all the categories, right? And I'm talking about important moments, such as the playoffs. Scoring, Kawhi. Rebounding, Kawhi. Playmaking, KD. Defense, Kawhi. Clutchness, Kawhi. Leadership, Kawhi. Now, someone may think that based on these results that Kawhi is far and above better than Kevin Durant, when this is not the case. However, just being better than someone else in all of these categories, even if it is by little margin, such as the scoring department, the rebounding, and the clutchness, can go a long way to, and the leadership, can go a long way to make you the better basketball player, in my opinion. Now, if you're asking me who is greater, not who is a better basketball player, who is greater, I would have to say Kevin Durant for one reason only. Kawhi's championship is way tougher, way harder, way more important, more impactful than anything KD has achieved. However, when you compare the two, you cannot dispute the fact that one of the biggest, flaws, let's say, in Kawhi's career, which is something that is not his fault, something he could not control, is how injury-prone he was compared to KD, who, in my opinion, is quite underrated when it comes to durability. If you think about Kawhi Leonard's prime, and I stated at the beginning of the video that Kawhi Leonard became a superstar in 2017. And what happened that year? He got hurt. Yes, he was injured by Zaza, but he got hurt in 2017. He misses 2018. Then in 2021, he gets hurt in the playoffs in a year where I thought the Clippers were in good position to win the title. 2022, misses the whole season. 2023, he plays the first two games against the Suns. He plays spectacularly, but he gets injured again. So we're talking about a prime that began in 2017. A 6-year prime, which you could argue is one perhaps of the 10 greatest primes we have ever seen by a perimeter player. You can make that case very reasonably. But in this 6-year prime, Kawhi Leonard arguably gave us only two great full years, in my opinion. 2019, which he had one of the greatest playoff runs ever of all time, and 2020, where unfortunately the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead. So when you compare it to Kevin Durant, who from 2010 to 2023, with the sole exception of 2020 when he was injured with Achilles, 2015 where he, I think, broke his leg, with the exception of those years, KD has been a superstar almost always in his career. Year after year after year, he gave us an insane production over this length of time. So because of that, I have to give the edge to KD all time in terms of career, accomplishment, and who is greater. Now, if you ask me who is the better basketball player, my answer will be Kawhi. And if I had to draft between the two, I'm still drafting Kawhi, irrespective of all the injuries and the lack of durability he had compared to KD. Because I believe that in one healthy year, such as Kawhi had in 2019, he could bring the team farther and even win the championship as a first option, which is something that regrettably KD has never done. I'm not arguing that maybe in 2021, if Harden and Kyrie don't get hurt, they might have won the title. However, we don't know. It is impossible to speculate all the time. We need to rely on what we have, on the facts, and the facts suggest overwhelmingly that Kevin Durant, unlike some of his peers, whether it's LeBron, Jokic, Steph, and even Kawhi, he has not been able to lead a team to a championship as the number one player. So for all of these reasons, I will draft Kawhi. I think Kawhi is a better basketball player, but I think KD ranks higher all time due to more accomplishments, longevity, pretty much having, I don't know how many now, but 14 prime season at least, while Kawhi had only had maybe 2 or 3 that were free of injuries. Okay, please let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with my assessment? Who would you take between the two? 1, in a pickup game, and number 2, who would you draft if you were an NBA GM and you had to have one of these two players for 15 to 20 years for their career? And the goal obviously is to win titles. So who are you drafting to win championships? So this is the question. Okay guys, please like, subscribe, and comment, and share your opinion about who do you think is a better player between Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant. Bye.